All right, so once we've mastered the perfect espresso, we need to move on to milk or milk alternatives. You may have almond milk or coconut milk, oat milk, any other variety. We'll be using milk for this tutorial, and we use the word milk in a general sense because we have almond milk, oat milk, soy milk. But once you've mastered espresso, you need to move on to milk. And so many customers, so many guests really enjoy the sweetness of milk and the blending with espresso. So once we've figured out how to prepare the perfect espresso, we may serve that espresso in the cup with a packet of sugar and a small spoon and give it to the customer to enjoy as it is. But many customers want that milk experience. Okay, so how do we go about this? Well, you want to start with having warm cups on the top of your espresso machine or elsewhere. You can warm them with warm water hot water before serving the guest, and put the proper protocols in place for safety, for service. Okay, so many challenges can emerge as we use milk. We need to be a little bit more concerned about bacteria. And especially on these steam wands, we want to make sure that we have a designated milk rag. So this rag will stay moist and clean or damp and wet so that we can purge the steam wands, we can wipe them clean, and we are never cross-contaminating this with any espresso grounds or spills. We keep this specifically designated for our milk and steam wands. Now, if you have, let's say you have on the right-hand side a milk wand and on the left-hand side a non-dairy wand, that may be a good option for you, and you can have two milk rags accordingly. I like to use a white rag for the milk or milk alternatives, while I use a black rag down here for cleaning and a gray rag for my steel portafilter grinder use. Okay, so first, safety. Make sure that you're always paying attention to safety. You're purging the steam wands. Bacteria can grow up inside those steam wands, and that's just a natural force of physics as temperature changes, and those steam wands can suck air or milk back up inside, and bacteria can grow. Okay, so how do we steam milk? In simple language or in simple concept, steaming milk happens in 3 stages. So what happens first when we have a pitcher of milk is that we want to add a little bit of air to it. We want to aerate the milk. So we first infuse some air and bubbles into that mixture. Second, we're going to start this spinning or emulsifying step in the milk foaming process. And then third, if we have enough time and continue, we will just heat the milk to a target temperature. The reason this happens, there's many chemical and physical changes that are happening, but as we add air and as we spin and mix and stretch the milk and then heat the milk to a target temperature, it will become sweeter. The lactose sugars will stretch, which makes them more palatable to our tongue and appear sweeter. And it also changes the consistency in the body to be really creamy and smooth. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, we aerate, emulsify, and heat. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then we can also look at problems that could happen when you are steaming your milk. So the first thing we want is we want to have a good workflow, and we're going to talk about workflow really soon, but ideally we have our refrigerators right underneath our espresso machine. Okay, so I have some cool milk pitchers and I have some cold milk down here in my refrigerator. Now, depending on the size of the milk pitcher you have, generally you want to fill your milk pitcher just about to this divot. So that's going to be anywhere from half to 2/3 full, depending on the style of milk pitcher. This particular milk pitcher, this is for a nice medium-sized latte, large cappuccino, I guess, if you want to change the size of your drinks, which I don't recommend. but you will find some that are smaller and some that are larger. This is a standard latte milk pitcher. All right, so if I fill my milk to this line and then I aerate and emulsify and heat and stretch, that milk will come up to about this line when I'm done. And then just the swirling motion, I need this much space just so that the milk doesn't spill out of my milk pitcher. Now this whole process happens very quickly, and you want to make sure that you're changing step 1, 2, 3 in a matter of 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. So let's walk through it together. Always, before you start steaming, you wipe fresh and you purge fresh. Okay? Purging the steam wand, if you can see, sometimes there is some built-up condensation, and that's because the steam wand, the heat up inside the steam is so hot and the outside air is cold. So I'm going to purge the steam wand quickly, and then what I want to do is I want to use this lip right here to act as a guide for my steam wand. So I'm just going to insert the head of my steam wand into the milk and turn it on. I'll turn it slightly off center. Okay. Got a nice vortex, it's spinning. And then I turn it off. Now when you first start steaming milk, you definitely want to use a thermometer. And a thermometer will tell you when you reach kind of stage 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now my milk here has this nice kind of a sticky, foamy texture. Perfect cappuccino milk. I didn't prepare my espresso shot, so I can't enjoy my cappuccino. But that speed of 1, 2, 3, again, you can see the power of 4 steam heads blasting out here. This power will quickly get us to the point of steamed milk that we want. This is a fully manual machine where I turn on the steam. Watch. I can turn it on lightly, full. Okay. So on some machines you're just all on or off. On some machines you can wind them up and then down so you can open them more or less. What happens if I start steaming my milk and something goes wrong? Something sounds funny, something looks funny. Well, if you're steaming and you hear this screaming sound. One moment, and I'm going to show you the screaming sound. If you hear the screaming sound, then your milk is probably stale or old, expired, or maybe you have a problem with your steaming. So just one moment. Here I have water. Okay. So imagine I went from whole milk, this first beautiful milk, to fat-free milk. Okay, fat-free milk does not have the fat and the lactose and the sugars, all of the things that make milk so silky and smooth. Listen how it sounds in comparison to my first. Did you hear that screaming? Well, I've been at a lot of cafes and I know they put milk into their milk pitchers and they have that screaming sound. So that screaming sound can happen from 2 places. One is if you use fat-free milk or like almond milk or a coconut milk or soy milk, something that doesn't have the milk fat and the sugars that whole milk does. Okay, so that may be slightly unavoidable if you just have to use some of those alternative milks. The other reason is if I put my steaming wand too far into this pitcher and I just set it there, you're going to hear that same screaming sound. That didn't scream quite as loud as I wanted it to, but I always hear this sound when I go into Starbucks, and it's because they just turn on their steam wand and they put the pitcher there, and then they go around and make a frappuccino and they come back and it's done. So there are two reasons. One is if you don't have that milk fat. Two is if you put the steam wand in too deep, and there can be an improper amount of there's this improper stage that happens, right? So if you don't go through the aeration, emulsifying, and heating, if you just go from milk to heating, which is putting the steam wand too deep, then you're going to create the screaming sound. So you want to make sure that you are avoiding some of the problems that come with milk steaming, troubleshooting poor milk foam. The other reason you might have poor milk foam is if you heat your milk too hot, you're actually going to break apart those lactose chains. You're going to overheat the protein structures. And besides destroying the milk foam, you're also going to destroy some of the sweetness and the flavor. So expired milk, fat-free milk, alternative milks, milk that's too hot, milk that's not walked through the 1, 2, 3 step process. There's a number of different reasons that you may not be able to achieve that silky smooth paint-like, people refer to this like a paint, stickiness, microfoam quality. Okay, so lots of amazing videos on YouTube from milk foaming professionals, people who are barista champions. They do milk all day, every day. And you can learn lots about foaming the ideal milk. So please add your questions and comments down below. I know this is only the foundations. This is only an introduction, but these are the foundations and the basics that you need to start your milk foaming on the right page. Oh, hey there. So just in case I forget to tell you, or you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check out howtocoffeepro.com, where we have lots of coffee classes available online for you, or www.sca.training. And you can find resources, lab tools, tasting kits, all kinds of stuff that you need to up your specialty coffee journey. So if you're not already on the email list, then you're probably missing out on some of the great options we have at howtocoffeepro.com or at sca.training. As always, if you leave your comments below, if you subscribe and follow, and if you join that email list, you're not going to miss out on all the great offers, the announcements, the new support and products and courses that we have for you.